I love my girlfriend, but she was my first. Should I break up with her to explore?
I think you should do whatever feels right to you. I know when I was younger and I didn't have lots of experience, I hadn't had a lot of girlfriends. I was always wondering if the grass was greener on the other side. And then for those of you that have read my first book, 3% Man, you know that I got married and kind of just went along with things. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel confident and comfortable enough in my own skin to do what felt right for me. And because of that, I sought opinions outside of myself. I ended up getting married, and it never felt right even when I was getting married. And then after about a year of being together, I finally manned up and decided to end my marriage and move on and go explore. So if you don't have a lot of experience, I highly recommend you get experience, especially if you're somebody that believes or thinks you want to be with one person for your whole life. Now, very few people will meet and like when they're in high school or whatever, or maybe even after college, and they're just always together and they never want to be apart. And those are the exceptions to the rule. That's the reality in life. And so, but for most people are not going to have that particular experience. And if it doesn't feel right and you feel like you should move on, then you should do that so you don't waste her time. And obviously you don't waste your time, because in order to find something new or find something better, you got to create a space in your life. And it's like I can't remember who said it, but there was a famous success quote that said, you can't steal second base and still leave your foot on first base. In other words, you have to take a risk. And if you break up with your girlfriend, the downside is that when what happens with a lot of guys and what keeps a lot of people in bad relationships is they're afraid they're not going to find anybody better, or that the next person is going to be worse. And guys break up and then they're single for 3 or 4 months and they're like, oh, I haven't found anybody better. And then they get scared and they go running back to what really wasn't fulfilling for them. And so you got to trust your heart, your curiosity, and your intuition, as Steve Jobs said. And because you got to go and explore. You don't know what you don't know until you experience it. It's like different ice cream. You got to taste different ice cream flavors to determine what your favorite one is. And the same thing with relationships. You got to get an experience of many people so you know what's out there and what things are like, and then you can make an intelligent, informed decision. Because if it doesn't feel right and you go and get married or you stay together a long time, maybe you have kids, that feeling tends to only get worse. But there's also something to consider, is that there's a honeymoon period in all relationships. You're not going to always be in la la land and always be head over heels in love with that person. That lasts typically 6 to 12 months at the most. And if you're still happy and you still really love one another and you love being together and you don't want to be single, then you should stay together. But if it feels like you want to go explore what's out there, then I did it and it worked out amazing. Obviously, if you read my book, I've had a lot of great memories and had a great life so far. And I'm obviously always excited about what's going to come down the road. So you got to learn to trust your intuition and what feels right.
So I agree with Corey. I feel like you need to trust your intuition. But at the end of the day, even if it was your first and only, it shouldn't matter. It really depends on like where the relationship is at, like you said. Like if you feel it in your gut that that's where you should be, then stay there. But if it's not, then go and taste the vanilla, chocolate, and caramel. I feel like age also, like if you're like 19, if you're in your 20s, like there's a lot to live and a lot to explore. And I wouldn't, for personal like experiences, I had a relationship my whole life, and if I would change it, I probably would, because I never got to be single for a second, never got to feel that like crazy, what do they say, like
Butterflies.
no, the hoe phase.
Oh, the hoe phase?
I've never been through the hoe phase, so like maybe I would switch it up a little. Like,
oh, now you're hanging out with Macy and you're thinking, I think I might go through the hoe phase.
No, definitely not.
Macy's a bad influence.
Just basically trust your intuition. And if you're young, live your life. Like, don't settle down in a long relationship when you have so much life to live.